Today, on Be Something Wonderful, manifest it out of the blue. Nothing is linear. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. Good morning. Big video this morning. This is based on a session I had yesterday with a client that I talk with every now and then. And he's a powerful creator. He's created some amazing things in his life. And here's where the conversation went. He was talking, Tom, I'm really getting the idea of that nothing is linear, right? That the linearity of the 3D world is created by us through our 3D senses, right? Through the idea that through our conditioning of awareness. And he said, you know, now I don't really even give my quote negative thoughts or unwanted thoughts a second thought, or even the conditions, because I really get the idea that they're changing at every moment. And bigger than that, that these conditions have no relationship to what the conditions can be in the next moment. That's big, right? This idea that we talked about. And here's I really want to cover this, unpack this conversation in this session, because I think it offers a lot of what some of you may have been struggling with, right? Tom, there are many times when things just seem to happen out of the blue, totally unexpected. Now I'm in a startup with an old friend of mine living in a new state. In other words, a new state in the United States, but also a new state of being, with new friends, and I'm loving it. So he's talking about this idea now that he feels that these things are just coming out of the blue, but he knows that nothing comes out of the blue. What I've always said, right? We both laughed when we said that. They happen out of you. He gets that, right? This is really, what he's really getting is this idea of, but first seek the kingdom and his righteousness, and all else will be added to you. In other words, it doesn't mean, I think one of you were saying, Tom, does that mean just not to condition consciousness, seek the kingdom? Well, no, we're here to condition consciousness. We can't help but condition consciousness with our 3D focus, right? We're here to, remember, we're source. We're already complete. We're already whole. We're already enlightened. We're here to experience what it's like not to be. To have different experiences of that oneness, right? What is it like to be source, to be one, to have it all, to be whole, to be unlimited? The only way we can know that, is by conditioning it and by creating within that divine state, right? Within that God state, within God consciousness. So that's what he's really getting at. The righteousness is really the knowing that it's all yours, right? The righteousness is getting into that state where you know everything is added onto you as you focus on what you want, or not even that, as you just focus on your source. That freedom, that joy, that creativity that comes being one with all of creation, right? Nothing happens out of the blue, it happens out of you. Your heart's desire, hear this, and this is what we talked about, and your higher intentions are known. So this was known. I'm going to get to this in a second, but this was known. Whether you're conscious of it or not, those are known. But what's his higher intentions these days? Yes, he's still intentionally and consciously creating things. But he says a lot more that he's not, and a lot more of the time things are just falling on his lap, like this perfect opportunity. To him, it's perfect, and he's loving it. But what is his desire? His desire is to experience and express his freedom, his creativity, his joy and love for being who he really is. That higher intention's known. What a perfect place, what a perfect opportunity to express that in a startup where you can express you're with someone you really love or want to be with. You have the joy of working with them and creating things out of the blue, new and complete. Remember, each moment, each movie slide, each frame of reality, remember, all frames exist. Every event, every circumstance, every condition exists in that greater ultimate reality, right? And we make connections of those events, and those become lifelines or scripts. Do you see it? And they're infinite in number, right? But each frame on its own exists without you making any connections, right? They're not, every moment is new in that eternal moment of now. And whether they connect to another moment is up to you, right? So it's spontaneous. Source is just spontaneous. It's not connected to any previous moment or any future moment or anything external. It's first source. It stands on its own, right? So let's hit this. Remember, your source is free, spontaneous, and new in every moment. That's the great characteristic. That's what makes it unlimited. It's spontaneous. It's absolutely unaffected by prior or future moments. Anything outside or external to itself, no connection. But we do make connections, right? And these become our lifelines or film rolls that we create our life around. But know this, in each slide, in each current frame of it, think of a movie. Imagine an actor in a movie could create an entirely new movie from that current frame. That's who you are. That's what you can do. But what happens? We look around and we believe in the solidity and the continuity of not only the current frame and what we see, but our past remembrance of previous frames, previous moments. And we connect all those moments. And we persist in those. And we create a persistent, consistent, solid reality around us. When in each moment, it can be completely new. That's powerful. So remember, source, there's nothing premeditated with source. There's no external cause. It's completely spontaneous, open, natural, and infinitely powerful. It's just love in every moment, right? Pure potential of all possible events, but unaffected by any of those events. That's source. It's pure potential of all possible events, but it's unaffected by any of those events. Your experience of reality is made of infinite moments in the eternal now, all independent of the moment before. There's no connection other than your story or the connection you make. Remember, all events are an image, right? So whether you make the linear connection, right? Nothing's linear, nothing's continuous, nothing's solid. Cause and effect, linear reality, relativity, it's all a 3D world thing, right? Assumptions that enable you to experience what it's like to be absolute, infinite, and unlimited. Thank goodness, or thank God, or thank yourself, that higher power, for the linear nature, the continuous, and the solidity. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to experience it. We would just be all that is. We'd be in bliss, but we wouldn't know ourselves as all that is. We wouldn't know what that's like to be supreme. That's the whole idea. Those assumptions. So what's the key? It's not to dump the assumptions completely. It's to loosen them. Loosen your assumptions on the linear nature and relativity of 3D reality, right? You are source, having the experience of having a body, of being limited and separate. That's you, right? Your source, having the experience of having a body and of being limited and separate. You're not a body, as you think you are, with a limited personality trying to experience a being absolute and unlimited. But that's what our experience becomes. Do you see it? Because we believe we're limited, we're linear, we're a body, we're a personality, we go off trying to manifest things, trying to experience being absolute and limited. And we do being out manifestations because we are source, whether we believe it or not. So we will get things, we will manifest things, reality will change, but it becomes an effort because we think we're a body. So we're waiting for things, we're trying new processes, we're trying things. Rather, your source, having the experience of having a body and being unlimited and separate. You are the kingdom, and this is what my client realizes. That's why that startup fell on his lap. Do you see it? Okay, but you can believe you're not unlimited, you're not a body, but you can believe you are, right? As source, as I am, as your imagination, you're here to create. In other words, to perceive the physical world, to enjoy the infinite variety of the 3D world experience. We're not here to run away from it, to deny it, to close our eyes to it, to get upset with it, to get frustrated with it, to rail against it, to condemn it, to criticize it. We're here to enjoy it, to create it, the infinite variety of the experience. All of it is variety. But as a 3D linear personality, right? You get carried away and you give the seen and perceived physical world more importance. You give it more validity. You give it more solidity than the unseen, not physically perceived world of your imagination. That's why. Right? Remember, Source just wants the experience. It doesn't judge them negative or positive or good or bad. It's all just an experience. We're the ones that get caught up in the linear personality or the linear thought of it. We get carried away with the seen and the perceived physical reality, and also the thoughts and feelings about it, that messy middle. And we give it more importance, we give it more validity, we give it more solidity than the unseen, than the not physically perceived world of your imagination. The 3D apparatus to sense, see, and perceive the physical world gives the illusion of separation, gives the illusion of out there, right? And it seems predictable and it seems solid versus the spontaneity and the ever-changing unlimitedness or potential of your source, right? Source doesn't change, right? But it can be anything you want it to be. Do you see it? So when I say ever-changing, I mean it can be anything you want it to be in every moment. It doesn't change. It's always the same. It's unlimited. It's completely loving. It's an all-powerful, right? But what can change is your 3D reality. It's not predictable and it's not solid. You can change it into anything you want. In other words, you can see any part of it that you desire. You can perceive any part of that whole reality, that ultimate reality, through your 3D senses, right? So let's hit this a little bit more. There's no difference between physical events and things, including your memory of physical events and things, in your imagination. We create those differences. They're all images. In other words, they're all film slides, or they're all these film frames that are infinite in number, that exist. They're moments in time. That's what our life experience is. They're just all moments of potential, manifested or unmanifested. And they're all available and they're all new. And it doesn't mean one leads to the other or one's the result of another. They're totally independent and spontaneous in every moment, like Source, right? All events and things are individual moments and frames, given solidity and continuity through your 3D senses. You run the frames together, just like a movie is made of independent frames that are run together to give the continuity and the illusion of a dream, of a movie, that they're all connected, right? But that's how you enjoy it. If you watched a movie frame by frame and knew that they weren't really connected, that each frame was independent, that you saw each frame get shot on different days, you wouldn't. There's no way to enjoy the movie. The whole enjoyment is to see it as a whole, to see it as continuous, to see it, but knowing that it's not, knowing that it can change in every moment. That's the beauty of it, right? But you forget it was just a movie or a dream, and you are the creator. You believe and assume it's reality versus the experience of reality, right? You remember the frame, so you run the frames together, past, present, and future, to enjoy the movie, but you forget it's just a movie. You forget that you're just an actor. And you believe and assume it's reality versus it's just an experience of reality, and you get to determine that. So remember, we've done this many times, showing you an idea or a way to look at ultimate reality, right? And we look at these realities as parallel, but they're not really parallel. They're all happening all at once within you, one superimposed over the other. But this gives you an idea how to look at it, right? With this blue being your current 3D reality or your current frame, or your more to say it more precisely, the current moment, because each moment is a blue frame. And that blue frame, that current moment, there's no connection to the past or the future unless you make it. And when you make it, that becomes a lifeline. It becomes a script. It's what people call fate or destiny, right? That lifeline can't be changed. But what can be changed? You can move to a new lifeline by knowing that in this frame, it's totally independent. It's spontaneous, your source. You can have a new moment here or here or here or anywhere you want, right? You're always in a new moment. What gives a connection of moving to different lifelines and different scripts is you connecting them. So if you just loosen your assumptions on linear time, loosen your assumptions on how you move through reality, how you light up your future, how you light up creation that's already finished, then you can be anywhere you want. Then you really truly can be, do, or have whatever you want, right? Each slide or film frame is a moment. Each moment. No one moment or slide is necessarily connected to another unless you make the connection with your thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and assumptions. That's what each moment reflects. And it can change immediately as you change your inner state. The key is to loosen your belief in the apparent solidity and continuity in linear time. Stop persisting in the continuity and solidity of unwanted frames, unwanted moments, unwanted realities. Stop persisting in making connections to a past that you no longer choose, or a future that you are in fear of that you wouldn't choose. Instead, be in the present moment and decide who you are. Decide what you want to connect with. Decide what you want to remember. Decide what you want to imagine. And then, yes, things will be happening out of the blue because Source is spontaneous. Source doesn't look at any connections between your past or your future or anything. Source looks at you new and fresh in every moment. You have done no wrong to Source. Source sees you as who you really are. Divine perfection. Untouched, untainted by anything that ever happened or will happen or is happening. Right? The key is to loosen your belief in the apparent solidity and continuity in linear time. Stop persisting in unwanted realities, right? Stop making them solid and continuous and connecting them to other events, right? So this client wasn't efforting, imagining, and affirming and waiting for and trying to make something happen, right? Instead, he's living in the end, right? He's living in the end. He knows everything's unfolding as it should. He's excited about where he is, right? Even though it might be a moment that, quote, you would judge as unpleasant or unwanted, or reality, a script unpleasant or unwanted, he knows that it's changing. As he changes within, he knows nothing's solid. He knows there are no connections other than the connections he makes. He knows he's pure spontaneity. He's pure unlimitedness. He's pure source, right? He is... So he's excited about where he is, and he's eager for more. This is what I think of Abraham Hicks says, right? Be happy where you are and eager for more. Well, that is the state. That's the allowing state. He understands and knows nothing is innately solid. Nothing is innately continuous. We make it continuous. We make it solid. He allows his natural desires for freedom, creativity, and joy to flow spontaneous and uninhibited through him and as him. Right? That's what's going on. He imagines, he assumes and affirms specific experiences of reality from this knowing. So things fall in his lap. He also consciously creates, and it all comes from that knowing. That's really what it means, but first seek his kingdom and his righteousness, and all else will be added to you. Right? Manifest it out of the blue. Nothing is linear. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for liking the videos. Thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for considering joining the membership channel. There'll be a video later coming out on the membership channel. That's next up. And also, we have a Facebook group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors at facebook.com/groups/Be Something Wonderful. That you feel free to join that. That's open to you to share guidance and insight with others and ask for guidance and insight. And we also have an Instagram and Twitter pages at Tom Kearin. You can visit those at Tom Kearin, Twitter and Instagram, or just go to our website anytime at tomkearin.com or besomethingwonderful.com. Creators, with great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, this is Tom with Be Something Wonderful. See you soon.